Good morning. Welcome
Good
once
morning.
more. Welcome once more to the Aurum Consultants podcast. We are very excited to have you today. We are very excited to be alive and to welcome everyone who is watching with us today. And once more, today we want to continue discussing on the very relevant topic at the moment, that is the effectiveness of working from home. My name is Anthony Kuria. I am a partner at Aurum Consultants, and today I have my co-partner Zipporah Kuria. Karibu sana. We also have Augustus Kioko, a risk expert. He is our guest today, ready to give us more gems and gems of wisdom concerning this topic. And we also have my dear friend Kenji Kirimi, an entrepreneur who works with Bawa Connect. So, karibuni nyote. Thank you very much for coming today.
Asante.
Yes.
Asante.
Awesome. Now, as you know, we last week we discussed a bit on the effectiveness of working from home, and it was a topic that we could not even exhaust. I mean, we did almost an hour, and there were lots of perspectives that we were discussing from an entrepreneurial business perspective and also from an employee perspective. And I'm glad today to be able to continue with the same because there's some insights that we would like to hear. And I would like to start with my co-partner, Zipporah. I want to find out the first question, which we discussed last week, and we thought, what? This one we need an expert in HR to help us, digest it better. And the question was, what does it mean to work from home? Basically, what does it mean to work from home from both an employer's and an employee's perspective?
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, our viewers, our listeners this morning. I think that is a very interesting question because we are finding ourselves in very interesting times where we are having to pivot and work from home. But what it means to work from home from an employer perspective is number one, you need to be very clear with your expectations. What do you expect your employees to achieve? What do you expect from your employees if they're going to work from home? The other thing that I would say it means more collaboration. It means more conversations with your employees. It means you have to set in what we call daily check-ins with your team members. And these are systems you have to set in, not just for you as the top person or as the top CEO, but also your HODs need to do check-ins with their teams if they're working from home. For an employer, from an employee perspective, I would say, again, there's a lot of freedom that is coming with working from home. However, freedom also comes with a lot of responsibility. If you're going to work from home, then you also need to set very clear guidelines of how you're going to achieve your goals. How is your day looking like? Are you going to wake up in the morning, walk around aimlessly, not knowing what to do? Or are you going to set up a program where you know your day starts in the morning at 7 or at 8 a.m. and ends at this time? So you need to be very clear what your goals are in a day. You need to be very clear what is your day looking like. You need to be very clear what are your responsibilities, and you also need to make sure you are also checking in a lot with your HODs to make sure you remain relevant. So again, working from home is coming with a lot of responsibility and a lot of having to do a lot of conversations so that you maintain that team cohesion.
All right. That is a very good way to look at it in terms of the employee also has a responsibility to self-manage, while obviously the employer has a place to manage. Augustus, probably you could give us from your perspective. You were somewhere where you work. What do you think about what does it mean? You've been there. You worked from home. You worked from office. What does it mean from your perspective to work from home?
Wow, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, viewers. I think this subject cannot be exhausted in one day. It's very huge and bold, broad. But working from home, I think I'll concur with Zipporah. and also heard some few aspects, what it means to work from home.
Sure.
And I think to work from home for the employers, I think even in this season, a lot is coming out that working from home is more quantitative. You get to know now clearly what
Yes.
everyone does, as
Uh-huh.
opposed to in the office. You find people in the office sometimes, it can be neither here nor there in terms of what they do. It can be more of qualitative,
Okay.
and sometimes it can be unclear what everyone does and what everyone is supposed to do. But when
Sure.
you work from home, and this working from home, employers are now getting to know, on a day-to-day basis, what does a day for their officers and their staff look like? What
Uh-huh.
are they able to do on a day-to-day basis? It becomes very more clear, very more quantitative. You can count, you can put a number or a figure, in terms of production and performance. Of
Okay.
course, it helps the employers be able to put resources in the right place. You are able to gauge, and we have seen that happen a lot. That even you are able to see what number of staff would you need to achieve certain levels of performance and all that. And also employers are becoming more in identifying idle staff, if I may use that word.
Yes.
And to come up with ways to engage their staff even more. It requires also, discipline on the part of the employees, from working home. That a normal day in the office is just as the same as a normal day at home, working day, and it starts, 8, ends at 5, if that is your working time. You have to prepare just as the same you prepare in the office, not letting your guard, down. Those are also soft issues that are coming up. In HR, they talk about, and Zip will confirm, they talk about soft issues, just issues, but they make a big impact in how, employees will present themselves when working from home. So it's the same, game, it's the same rules, it's the same, discipline that anyone should have.
Aha. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us that perspective, because there's the issue of you are an employer, you have engaged staff, some of them, because of the current situation, you've been forced to reduce the number of people working in order to safeguard their health, social distancing and stuff. And you find now you realize, okay, as I have surplus staff, as it were, because there's some who are not putting in their weight while in the office. They were hiding in there, beneath the crack, in between the cracks. And now when people are sent home, given allocated tasks, then it appears who really delivers and who doesn't. I would like to ask Kenji, being a businessman, an entrepreneur, whose roles are they're very fluid, as it were. What has been your experience? Shifting from an office setting to letting everybody go back home and working from home. What has been your experience? Your sound is a bit off.
Sorry. I was on mute.
Yeah.
My apologies. I was saying for me, I've witnessed actually more benefits than let me say the downside. In the sense that even for an employer, you have a lot of overheads when running business, and one of your biggest overheads after salaries most likely could be your rental space, your office space.
All right.
And for me, I think that those are some of the costs we are able to cut. The funny thing is that that cost is placed somewhere else. Now,
All right.
we've actually had to figure out creative ways of shifting some of those costs to ensure that we're empowering employees to be able to work from home. And in fact, for an employer, I think the biggest benefit is to be able to see if you have a functional system.
Okay.
Working from home really exposes the loopholes in your business, because you're able to see that, hey, there's a person here who I'm with him, desk to desk, and says he works. He's in the office every day, 9 to 5. Let me see,
Yes.
is he actually delivering? And then at the same time, a lot of people have a rap when they are around each other. When now
Yes.
you're independently at your house, it is
Yes.
upon now you to deliver. So the onus is on you, and the full responsibility is on you to deliver, not to depend on the next person or your colleague. So we can also see there's been also a shift in how employees, or let me say your colleagues, I look at employees very differently. I look at them as teammates, because even for an employer, I'm still like I'm an employee. It's just the only difference is I've been privileged to run the team, to lead the team. So I see myself as one. I'm the person who actually mirrors the culture. The leadership role is even heavier on you, because they
Yes.
watch you. They watch how you work from home, and they'll copy. If you don't maintain, if you're not strict about the timelines, if you say meetings at 9, you have standing meetings. Maintain standing meetings always. And also for employers, also be creative in how your team can engage, because we've had to look for online games. Like literally, we play online.
Are
We
you
actually,
serious?
yeah, we have games where we are like, it's game. Okay, we do it in the morning,
All right.
and we have very interesting games. We do Pictionary, and all these are online. We do this
All
one
right.
called, I don't know if you used to play it in primary. It used to be called food, city, country. You write it in a column, and then now you're given 1 minute to fill. Some aptitude tests, just to get people, a bit active and feeling connected. Think it, you're always you're asking about, did you deliver timelines? People even they become robotic. So it's important to make sure you also balance your playtime online with work. And also, as Zippy said, check in with your team. Your team's mental wellness is more important than even the work they do. If they're not stable at home, they can't
Yes.
deliver. So keep checking up, and not even as a group, individually call them. How are you doing? What's up, Bana? If
Yes.
you can't even meet with them one by one offline, and that would really improve like team chemistry. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I like the way you're putting it, Kenji, that from an employer's, a business perspective, even though your team is now dispersed, working far away, you're still working hard to generate a company culture through because company culture is really in an office setting is where people meet over coffee, when people go out for lunch together, when you have a meeting together, you do things in a certain way. That's how you grow a company culture. And now, because now of COVID and people are having to meet virtually, those ideas of games and stuff like that you still maintain a semblance of company culture, so that eventually, if the old norm comes back, I want to assume that your team now will be probably a bit more tighter, with the
Yeah.
interactions
Very
on a
true.
virtual basis. That's a
Very
very
true.
good point. That's a very good point, Kenji. That's something that anyone listening to us today would want to take in, especially if you run your own business. Now, the next point that I wanted to ask, and this thing is burning because I'm sure many of our listeners would probably want to ask this, that as an employee, how do you set yourself up to success while working from home? Augustus, probably this one, I would want you to, because you have been there, you are literally seated at that end, sharp end of the knee. As an employee, how do you think one can set themselves up to succeed while working from home?
I think it's important, as we've alluded in the past, that one of the things, and this is just background of the
Yes,
question, in answering the question,
sure.
that one of the things that can happen while working at home is because physically you are not interacting with your, your seniors, with the people you report to, with
Sure.
your colleagues and all that. You can easily take a backseat position, and say, you are not visible,
Yes.
you just wake up, you do your own things, you do your own work, you are not interacting, you are not making a statement that you still exist, So it's very easy to be forgotten, out of mind, out of sight,
Out of mind.
out of yes. So you find sometimes you can just adopt a sit back position or mentality while working from home. Until I've seen some instances, we have to call some guys and say, "Hey, are you there?" We're not seeing any interaction. We're not seeing emails. We're not seeing calls. We're not seeing, like I said last time, we have WhatsApp group where we catch up, with
Sure.
people, and more often, more, over and over again. Every time sometimes we post a message, how is so and so? How is, are you there? I remember last week I was asking a guy on Monday, when he came back to the office, because we couldn't reach him on Friday, on phone, on email. On Saturday we tried to call, we couldn't reach him. Then on Monday, it was our time to come back to the office, and he reported, he came a bit later. And everyone was wondering, has anyone spoken to so and so? Are they okay? So you can really take a backseat mentality in all these things. So you have really to be visible. Your success, working from home, you have to set yourself for success in such that you are visible, you are interacting, with the people, with your colleagues, with the people you need to report to, such that there's no difference. There's no difference felt between you working physically from the office or at home. You have to take initiative. You have to take initiative to be available. You cannot, and also discipline and also being truthful and honest. Because at home, as I said, sometimes, you really want to spend more time with your duvet in the morning. But
in this cold time.
In this cold season, and sometimes you can extend. I've had all those temptations of wanting to start work at 8:30 as opposed to 8. And sometimes wanting to give all manner of excuses when you feel tired, like there's no elec, there's no power on our sides, our estates. Of course, those are integrity issues. And therefore, there are also things that you must observe. You must practice honesty. You must practice a lot of professionalism, in terms of maintaining that discipline you would have in the office, such that there's no remarked difference. There's no much difference of you working from home and office until, you have to make yourself very, very available, very responsive, very, to the extent that, sometimes, let me, forgive me, I think I will give you an example and some things that have happened and I've seen in the employment. There are some comments I've had in meetings like, these guys, this guy cannot even respond when he's working at home. We either recall him back, and since we have to social distance, we can't recall him back to the office. So I've had some decision being made, like we have to let this guy stay on leave, and nowadays, being on leave, what it means if you exhaust your days. When you get into a negative position, sometimes it's deducting from your salary. From your pay. So that is somebody who is not setting up themselves for success while working at home. So make your employer feel that you are still available, you are still relevant, even working from home, you are still productive, and all that. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Augustus. You have given us a very concise look. If any of our listeners is out there listening, wondering, how do I position myself for success while working from home? Augustus has really wrapped it up nicely. Zippy, probably you could, from your perspective as a HR expert, what do you think an employee could do to set themselves better? Looking at what Augustus has said.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. I concur with what Augustus has said. And I think one of the things I always ask employees, if this was your own business, would you do things the same way? You've been entrusted by your employer for them to give you that position. So are you actually carrying out your responsibility the same way you would have done if this was your own business? So that would be the first question I would ask an employee who's looking up for success. The other thing, like I mentioned earlier, number one, you have to set up a routine. When you're going to the office, there's a routine. You're expected to be in the office at 8 or at 9. You work until 5 p.m. And I believe there's a reason why those routines are set up, because if there's no routine, chances of being distracted and not accomplishing what you set yourself up to do will be very high. So setting up a routine is very critical. The other thing is you need to set up your goals on a daily basis. Every morning when you wake up and you decide, this is what I'm going to do, put it down in paper. And make the habit of checking to see, have I been able to actually accomplish what I set myself up to do? At the end of the day, do a review, do a check and see, was I able to accomplish what I set myself up? If I was not able to achieve that, then what were the reasons why I was not able to achieve that? And the other thing I said, do check-ins with your supervisor. Don't just sit there and say, because no one is supervising me, I will do what I'm able to do. No one really is caring about what I'm doing. I'm not going to report to anyone. Be responsible and actually be the one to reach out to your supervisor and say, this is what I've been able to do. These are what are my challenges. If you're experiencing challenges, don't sit quiet and say, I'm working from home, I will wait until we go back to the office to resolve these issues. Be the kind of a person who is seeking solutions, even from your team members. The other thing is be a team player. Again, I've realized this social distancing can make us become very antisocial. I can decide I'm doing my things at home, I'm working alone, and there's no connection, there's no collaboration. And the truth is we cannot afford to lose that. Because again, like Angie said earlier, we end up becoming robots. Our work is to just do what you're supposed to do, but we lose the social angle of it. So it's important to also ensure, as an employee, you are connected. And as Augustus has said, be sure to remain relevant. Don't be the kind of a person who we don't feel your impact simply because you're working from home. If we are not feeling your impact, then actually as an employer, I will start asking my questions. Do I really need this employee? Because I'm not feeling the impact of them when they're working away from the office. So you have to remain relevant as well.
Awesome. So from what we are hearing, Kenji, and Kenji probably will agree with me as an employer, is that if an employee is working from home, then they and their supervisor need to have set out targets of what to be achieved when they're working away from home on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, and targets that are measurable and work outputs that can also be seen. That if this week we're supposed to produce this much, then as an employer supervising an employee, you both work together to make sure that the targets are met and the work output is delivered. Now, the third question, and this one I'll go to you, Kenji. Let me ask you this one. Do you think there are tasks that can and cannot be done working from home? Tell me, from your experience.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely there are tasks that you can't work remotely, and especially if you're in the essential service space. Like you can't, if you're in transport industry, you can't virtually drive a matatu.
Yeah.
If you're in also service industry, if like a barber or saloonist, you have to be in contact with your client. If you're working even for the guys working in the hospital, you can't have. Okay, I mean, there are some people who have been innovative. They're coming up with online what's it called, medical services, where you get prescriptions online, etc.
Yes.
But still, you need to diagnose the problem. You need to see the patient, and sometimes you may need to tell them, now let me see, check what's under your ear, what's in your throat. You need contact. I believe not all businesses can run online. You can work from home. But this is also what I believe. The functions in your business that can be digitized, that you do not need. Let me say time in an office to execute. Do you get what I mean? Because
Yes,
there's some routine tasks we used to go to the office to do, which you could simply do from your house.
that's true.
And
That is
and those are the tasks that you need to identify in whatever sector or industry you are in. Because I believe that so the beauty about what working from home has done is, as I said, it has exposed your system. Even as an employee, it has also exposed how you use your time. You know, what hours do you actually put to the work? What hours are you on social media? What hours
uh-huh.
do you still do other things? You see,
Sure.
so that the reality is, are you tracking even the number of hours you're actually putting in for this employer? Yeah. So um, the tasks, and let me also shift in a way. I want to also challenge businesses,
Sure.
because when you're working from home, that means mostly you're using the internet.
Uh-huh.
You know what? You're positioning your company in a way, or your business or your skills in a way that you can actually have a global footprint. Because the internet is
Uh-huh.
not for Kenya, the internet
Yes,
is not for Nairobi.
sure.
You can actually, you can harness what the power of globalization. You don't have to use the M-Pesa, they call it the M-Pesa phenomenon, where may I open an M-Pesa here, you open another one there. You can compete with the guy in China or the guy in Ukraine for their business if you have a
Uh-huh.
product that can serve them, because
Mm-hmm.
you're using the internet to drive your service. So the tasks, yes, that can be done
Sure.
from that can't be done from home, but also
Yes.
some functions that you can digitize and you can improve without having to go to the physical workspace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Awesome. Awesome. There you, Kenji, you brought in another aspect of digitization. Because in all aspects of whatever business you're doing, you've seen the way companies like Walmart have have revolutionized retail. Now I'm reading Walmart and Amazon. Amazon have basically brought a demise to the what we call here in Kenya supermarkets, where basically you order everything online, it is delivered to your home, in whatever aspect that you want to do, and cheaply. So going to the same question, I'll ask Augustus. From your perspective, Augustus, are there tasks, looking at where you sit, are there tasks that can and cannot be done from home? Like now, where you are operating from?
Let me say, I work in the industry where the uptake of technology is very slow in terms of when you talk about insurance. Tony, you are in insurance industry, you play in that sphere.
Sure. Sure.
And when someone wants a cover, what you have to do.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
have to get the paper. But luckily now we've digitized. The insurance industry has adopted digital certificates,
Sure.
whereby you can place cover from at the comfort of your office or home, wherever you are, and you
Yes.
get a sticker online. That is a plus. That is a plus for the industry. But generally, I think, like KJ has said, I think it also depends with the model of business that you run. The model of business that you run, as in their services. You don't need to be in the office physically at all. You can do business with people in China, with people in Thailand, with people in America, and all these other places without necessarily interacting with them. There's an advert that has been coming on TV and
Yes.
on mobile phones, and says 6 billion. The population is 6 billion, and out of that 6 billion, 4 billion on our phone. So it can only tell you are doomed not to be thinking of going online.
Yes.
Yeah, with those kind of statistics. Of course, where I work, we have tasks. We're not fully digitized. So
Yes.
what we've done is we've tried, even in coming up with shifts, what we've done is to identify what can be done with a group that is working from home. without just being physically being involved. And then in our coming up with shift, we say this task can be done with by the people working from home, and this task can only be done in the office. So the shift that the team that is in the office, they will do those tasks that need physical involvement and all that. But that is only because we COVID found us unprepared, and I'm sure it found many people unprepared. So these are just plans to help transition to full digitization and all that. Of course, tasks like driver, in many organizations you find drivers, messagerial services, they have to be there, they have to drive. They have to be there to drive. Maybe they chauffeur the bosses, they chauffeur people, officers going to the field and all that. So those are services that currently, and most organizations are grappling with what to do with such tasks, because you're required to social distance for the health of the same people you want to take care of. So those are tasks that filing. You talk of people who are still handling manual. The insurance industry is full of that filing, paperwork. So what do you do with those guys? So sometimes you find they are also being challenged and undergoing difficult time because they have to be, in terms of social distance, they have to go on leave at some point. And then that means they are deducted. They lose days. They get into negative. And that is also a challenge both to the HR and to themselves. So yes, there are tasks that can be done at home and done in the office, but depends on also the model of your business. So organizations have to think about the model of business they want to run in terms of technology and all that.
All right. Thank you, Augustus, for
Anthony,
that.
if you can allow me to jump into that.
Yes.
That's a very interesting question. And I think as organizations, we need to start thinking about where the world is going. Where the old companies, and I don't want to mention names for the fear of getting in trouble. Companies that refused to change with time, they were overtaken by events, and those companies have actually become redundant. The truth is, with technology, in as much as right now there are roles that we are saying we are not able to get those jobs done from home, as companies, we need to start thinking about our strategies. We need to start thinking about our roadmaps. We need to start looking at 10 years from now. Are we going to be in the same place where there are some still positions that we cannot be able to work from anywhere in the world? Forget about working from home. As an employee, I might want to go on a working holiday. Am I able to actually do that? So again, we need to actually start thinking about how do we start pivoting and adapting to technology and working in a way that we are not going to become redundant because we are stuck in our old way of doing things. And that's my take with this. I mean, when you look at companies that does production, for instance, we were discussing earlier about artificial intelligence, and we're starting to see this actually getting to be implemented in organizations. And we can say in the West right now that is working very well, where you find robotics are actually getting into the place of human beings in production. And we might be thinking this is a far-fetched dream for us, but the truth is, in another 10 years, trust me, these are things that we will actually have to adapt if we are going to become relevant. So my thinking again, it also goes to our education system, where again we are producing all these graduates, we're producing all these people into the labor market. Are we bringing out people who are looking for white collar jobs, or are we going to actually bring out people who are trained to be creators of opportunities, to be creators of job opportunities? So we need to completely change the way we do things, the way we think about the economy, if we are going to become relevant.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you, Zippy. That's a very important point. That if as businesses, as companies, we are going to adapt to this new norm, then we'll have to find a way to go advancing. In fact, Zippy has actually gone to the last question that I wanted to ask. I wanted to find out: do you think companies are prepared for the long-term work from home arrangements? You know,
Mhm.
that question comes with something that she has also said about one of the local companies going in terms of AI, artificial intelligence. We're talking with a friend of mine on Thursday, and he was telling me his employer, one of these big local banks, has now put an artificial intelligence customer service representative. That is, when you make a call and you want to find out stuff concerning the product of that particular bank, the person answering at the other end is not a customer service representative.
It's a
It is
robot.
it's a robot. It's basically a robot saying you, "Hi, Mr. Kenji, how are you? What can I do for you?" You tell them this is what you want, they respond. And we were discussing and seeing soon those so-called customer service reps in branches will no longer have a job. Their job has been taken over by machines, as it were. You can imagine cashiers in banks. Sooner or later, like I think it's Stancha. Nowadays, if you come with cash and you're bringing 100,000, you're told, dude, go to the ATM. It has everything for you. So that means that cashier who was a career cashier, his job is coming to an end. So that is a job that you cannot send home. And in the office also, it is also ending. So meaning there has to be a change. So from your perspective, Kenji, do you think in the long term, businesses are ready for work from home arrangements? Not just from your area of expertise, but generally. What's your thinking? What do you see businesses doing? Do you think here in Kenya they are ready for work from home arrangements?
Now this I can rave about this topic. Let me tell do you have 30 minutes? You need to time block with me because let me tell you,
Yes.
part of what I do is to
Mm.
help businesses digitize. And
Mhm.
it's a passion area. In fact, I want to partly put Augustus on the spot because he's like in the insurance industry hasn't really adopted technology in a way to
Yes.
be efficient, and that's
Yeah.
an opportunity for you, my brother, because
Yes, thank you.
you I look at those files on the side and I'm like, okay, if now you're requesting for a claim or anything, you have to go into that cabinet and start drawing someone's file dated when. Now
Yes. That's
it
Yes.
also limits your scope of operations because
mm.
if a person wants to take an insurance cover, let's say from a different part of the world. Let's say
Yes.
what are they called? Diaspora. Maybe you have a cover
Yes.
for diaspora guys. What I'm trying to say is that digitizing is not an option. It's not should, it's when will I. And and
Mhm.
and and the thing is, right now, if you understand cycles, even in industries, if you see
Yes.
what the Great Depression did for America in 1930, it brought
Yes.
about a lot of innovation. When you look at the financial crunch in 2008 in the US, what happened? Companies like Airbnb, Twitter, Uber, all these companies were birthed because of that crunch, because they came up with this thing called the shared model, where
Mhm.
you remember taxi drivers were gonna they used to inflate their prices. They even wanted
Yes.
to the heckle when Uber came in because they were
Yes.
undercut. That's what technology is doing. And Zippy raised an important point. In fact, Zippy, let me tell you, 10 years is too far. 10 years. Hey,
Yeah.
we'll be talking something else. This thing is here
Mm,
with us. In fact,
mm,
I look at it this way, even for our children and the people we're actually bringing up right now. Don't don't
Yes.
see Google. You how will I put this? Right now, remember the source of information was your teacher, was the
yeah.
university. Right now they have
Yes.
Google.
Mm,
Mm.
Right now they
Yes.
have so many other tools they go for to upskill themselves. Now,
Mm.
taking them to a class, and I'm not discrediting the education system. Education it is good. It helps you critically think, adapt, and also apply yourself. But
mm,
Yes.
look, what Google has done, it has democratized information. It's now everywhere. If I want to learn what Zippy does, by the way, I can just Google and from a credible source and go deeper and start implementing a professional. You've seen how many people, this guy called the guy for javelin, Julius, see, he learned how to javel from YouTube, and guy from LD has never seen a javelin stick. Labda alikuwa anarusha mshale, but he's used that and he's a world champion. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say this, that even right now, there's some skills people are really trying to, get certification for. Yet the internet is creating tools. For a designer, you've gone to design school. Me, I'm not a designer. I can jump on a tool called Canva that has done templates and design for me. And what do? I wipe out your service. What am I saying? Right now, the thing to understand is what tools are there, what technological advancements are there in my particular field. Use that to create value for your client, for your employee, for your employer. Because if you give me a pen like this, let me say this is like a piece of technology, a tool, you have not helped me. If you take this pen and write for me on paper, you've helped me because you've created a service from that. You get what I mean? The tools are all online. Working from home has really advanced businesses. You can really adopt technology and have a competitive edge. And it's an opportunity for a lot of businesses right now to be that could be what separates you from the pack. So yes, there are a lot of benefits from working from home.
Wow. Kenji, there you have hit it the nail on the head. Yeah, Martha Thuku, thank you for your good comments. We appreciate the fact that we are making a difference and that our conversations are being a blessing to our listeners. And when it comes to long-term work from home advantages for companies, I was reading somewhere, as you said, Kenji, earlier, the issues of great savings in terms of workspace expenses. And they also says that, as you also said, another very powerful point, employers can target talent from across the world. When it comes to something like design, now because we are working from home, then I can as well, hire somebody in Ukraine or in India or in South Africa, Mauritius, wherever, to make a design for me. We agree, we have a contract. You design for me what I need, I pay you, and move on. Yeah. So that is something. And the flip side is also there. It means then any of our listeners who has a certain skill, if you go online and say this is what you do, I've seen that a lot on LinkedIn, and you say this is what I do, you'll find somebody from Israel getting in touch with you for you to help them design something. So it works both ways for both employers and employees. It has created opportunities while closing certain doors. And then the third thing is that now most employees have flexible schedules where now, for example, Kenji, I know you being in the digital space, people don't have to work between 8 to 5. You just need something done. Say today is Saturday, you need it done by Wednesday. You've given to your one or two of employees. When they do it, it's not your problem. All you need is that we need your input by Wednesday. I need this prepared. So if an employee is motivated and self-driven, whatever time he does it, whether he wakes up at midnight to work at it, in Africa 5, decides to sleep in the morning, whether he works during the day and completes it, that's up to him. So in certain industries, that's also something I had wanted to talk about. Yes, we have, the way Augustus was saying, you wake up at 8, you sit down and you do your work, it reaches a certain point, you rest and all that. That kind of routine is important, but also flexibility depending on what you're doing is also it's also key. Yeah. So if I could conclude our discussion, Zippy, what do you say about long-term working from home arrangements? You're muted.
Sorry about that. This is what I would say to any employer who is looking for a long-term plan. you need to rethink about your strategy. You need to rethink about your roadmap. The truth is, working from home or working remotely is here to stay with us. So the question is, are you going to actually move towards that? You need to put in the necessary strategies, the necessary structures for you to be able to implement that with ease and for you to be able to actually do a business that makes sense to you.
All right. Augustus, let me leave you giving us the last one. What do you think about the future of working from home? You've experienced, as you described earlier, there are times you've got to go to the office to carry out essential services, and then there are times you've got to go home. In the long term, just from your perspective, what do you think where this is going?
I think let me start by saying a lot of organizations here in Kenya, they are just peeping, like this COVID is going to end and we are going back to our normal. And I think that is the attitude with most of the organization. They are like, let's see. And therefore they are not yet keen, investing, into the future. So they are like everyone else who is saying, you are waiting to be told when COVID is going to end, And of course, we are getting shockers from WHO, who are saying there is no possibility of a vaccine in the near future. The curve, yesterday we watched news and we are told the curve might not flatten anytime soon. So this, I think I think my challenge is to organization to wake up and, the way people say, smell the coffee, and begin to do what is important and what is required to do. COVID is a disruption. It's a disruption to our normal, lives, normal business life and everything we do. Kenji, there's a disruption coming in the insurance industry. Sometimes you have to change or you have to be changed. There's a company in US called Lemonade, which says you get a cover in 3 minutes and you get paid.
Wow.
And it's using here in the country. Safaricom has been exploring the idea of getting into the insurance space. They have the numbers. It's an issue, driving business with data. So Safaricom is also thinking of that. So it's either the insurance industry where we earn our daily bread, either they partner, they partner because Safaricom has the numbers, has the technology and everything. So in fact, the future of businesses is partnership and collaboration. So it's the future of businesses is working. It's working from home is not going to die just anytime soon. And the organization must wake up and put the required infrastructure, and knowing that it's not going to be business as usual. We keep saying sure. So it's not going to be business as usual. It's not going to, even if COVID ends, because we believe it's going to end, it's going to go. But it's very hard to go back to what you are doing because people have already moved. It's like now, I'll give you an example, on a light note, the mask we are putting on. Yeah.
Sure.
If you spot anyone without a mask, how do you feel? You feel very strange.
In a public place.
Yeah, the other day I was thinking, is it part of evolution? The way we were told people walked through. Yeah. You can clearly see it's just an analogy that just the same way you are feeling in a public space, if you are not, you don't have a mask on, you feel strange. I think it's the same way when COVID is over, you will feel trying to do business the old way. People are moved on. People, even your customers are moved on. Everyone has moved on. Even the government has moved on. So it will be very hard to do business and to go back to your old ways of doing business. You will be forced. So the organization must see this is we are with us, and they must embrace it, and they must put the required infrastructure. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Augustus. Those are very good points. That you change or be changed, and being changed. Thank you, Wanjiko Kimoto and Martha Thuku. I like the way Wanjiko Kimoto has put it. That working from home, the benefits have been there. No traffic, being with her family, free lunch. If it's not you paying free lunch, you know what I'm saying? And then Martha has said she enjoys working from home. She doesn't have to navigate through heavy traffic. And so that is very true. The issue of working from home, especially issues to do with reduction of traffic, no office distraction, you save money in terms of traffic, in terms of so many things, going to the kiosk there and all that. But there are also certain advantages, like you may struggle with willpower, to wake up, sticking to a routine, missing important calls. Some people struggle, and inafika wakati they decide to take power naps. Yeah, they decide I'm taking a power nap. You know what I'm saying? And also issues to do with poor connectivity, depending on what you're doing. You may, depending on where you are, you may be given a laptop, you may be given everything to work from home. But if you're struggling with connectivity, then it becomes a futile exercise. I really want to thank you all, Kenji and Augustus, and even my co-partner Zipporah, for making this a very wonderful interactive session where we are discussing issues regarding working from home. These are very live, very now issue where whether you're a senior executive or a salesperson. I have a friend whose wife works with Safaricom, call center, and they're being forced to work from home. The people in the call center are being forced to work from home. You can imagine. And you can imagine Safaricom up to the chief executive. At some point, he probably needs to work from home. So these are topics that we can keep talking. We can keep talking. We can even talk next time and discuss various angles of working from home. The key here is be prepared, be flexible. As a company, as an employee, as an executive, if you're hired, be flexible, be ready to change, be ready to pivot, be ready to adapt. As Augustus has said, we don't know when this thing is going to end. And even when it ends, tupigwe mashindano hapo tuambue sasa, this is the vaccine. You'll find certain companies have moved on. There's no point of having an office space. You work for, I expect you to deliver ABCD. If you can't deliver, we'll get somebody else to do so. So to our listeners, thank you for coming in. Thank you for listening to our program today. We really appreciate all the comments that we've had from Martha, from Wanjiko, from Shali Nyamori. Thank you very much for tuning in, and the many others who have done so. If you'd like to know more about Aurum Consultants, you can get in touch with us on consult or aurumconsultants.co.ke. You can connect with us also and on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'd like to appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for giving us tremendous words of insight. Kenji, thank you for your contribution. Anyone who'd like to know more about what Kenji does, kindly get in touch with us. We will link you up to him. He is a digital marketing consultant. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Our time is over. Let's do this again next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.